The day began like any other on Earth. The sun rose in the east, casting its golden rays over the sleeping world. People went about their morning routines, unaware of the catastrophic event that was about to unfold. In the quiet corners of the world, some humans noticed strange lights in the sky. At first, they thought it was just another satellite, or maybe a falling star. But as the lights grew brighter and larger, confusion quickly turned to fear. What they were seeing wasn't natural. This wasn't just another meteor streaking across the sky. Something far more sinister was arriving. For weeks, alien ships had been silently approaching Earth, undetected by most human technology. These ships, sleek and shining, seemed to glide through space without a trace of disturbance. The aliens on board, a species more advanced than anything Earth had ever seen, were confident in their superiority. They had been watching humanity for years, studying their culture, technology, and behavior. What they saw didn't impress them. To them, humans were weak, fragile creatures, too divided to put up any real resistance. The aliens had come to a simple conclusion. Earth would be an easy target for conquest. Their advanced weaponry and technology far outmatched anything humans had. Their ships could move at the speed of light, their weapons could disintegrate entire cities, and their artificial intelligence could predict human behavior with near perfection. They had watched how humans struggled with conflicts, how divided their nations were, and how their governments bickered over trivial matters. From the aliens' perspective, humanity was nothing more than a primitive species. As their massive ships began to descend through Earth's atmosphere, they encountered little resistance. No one even knew they were there. The quiet hum of the ships, their sleek designs barely disturbing the air, meant the aliens had complete control over the situation. As they neared the surface, they looked down at the lush green planet beneath them. It was beautiful but insignificant in their eyes. It was just another world for them to claim. The alien leader, known only as Zoreth, stood before a large window in his command ship, looking down at the world he was about to conquer. His sharp eyes, glowing with an eerie blue light, scanned the planet below. "This will be easy," he said to his second-in-command Talia. "We have superior technology, unmatched firepower, and they are nothing more than weak creatures. They will fall without a fight." Talia, though loyal, couldn't help but feel a small twinge of doubt. The reports she had read on Earth's human race were unsettling. There were stories of resilience, of humans overcoming enormous odds. But Zoreth was sure of their victory. He had seen nothing in the humans that would suggest they were capable of mounting a real defense. As the alien ships touched down in various parts of the world, their impact sent tremors through the ground. The humans, already frightened by the strange lights, now saw massive, gleaming craft sitting ominously in their cities. Panic spread quickly, but the fear was mixed with confusion. Many had no idea what they were seeing. The ships didn't seem to have the characteristics of warships, yet their size and presence were undeniable. Governments scrambled to react, sending out military forces to investigate the strange phenomenon. But it was clear to the aliens that they were far from any threat. The humans were disorganized, their military equipment outdated compared to what the aliens had. They were no match for the power of Zoreth's fleet. The aliens began their ground assault. With terrifying precision, they deployed automated drones and weapon systems to subdue any humans who resisted. The world watched in horror as entire cities fell under the shadow of the alien ships. It wasn't long before the aliens began broadcasting their message across all frequencies. Their voice, calm and cold, echoed through the airwaves. "Humans of Earth, you are now under the control of the Xtilari Empire. Surrender immediately, and we will spare your species from total annihilation. Resist, and you will face the consequences." The humans, in their panic, attempted to mount a defense, but it was clear that their weapons were no match for the alien technology. As the first wave of the alien attack began, it seemed like humanity's fate was sealed. The aliens watched as their forces swiftly overwhelmed cities, and Zoreth's confidence grew. To him, It was nothing more than a formality. The humans would submit or perish, and the Xylari Empire would expand its reach even further into the galaxy. But as the alien forces continued their advance, there was one thing they didn't account for: humanity's spirit. Despite being outgunned, outnumbered, and facing almost certain defeat, humans had one thing the aliens did not understand. It wasn't just technology or military strength. It was something deeper, something more powerful. Unseen by the invaders, a small group of humans, some military leaders, some ordinary citizens, were quietly organizing. They didn't yet know how, but they knew one thing: they couldn't let the aliens win without a fight. The spirit of resistance was about to awaken, and the aliens would soon find out that they had made a grave mistake underestimating humanity. As the alien forces began their march across Earth, humanity's initial panic was slowly replaced by a rising tide of defiance. Across the globe, in the wreckage of shattered cities, whispers of resistance began to spread. The aliens, though confident in their superiority, had underestimated the will of the human spirit. It wasn't just about technology or firepower. It was about survival, about unity, and the deep-rooted determination that humans carried within them. In a small, heavily damaged city, a group of survivors huddled together in an old underground bunker. Military commanders, scientists, and ordinary citizens had come together, putting aside their differences in the face of the alien threat. Among them was Sergeant Lucas, a battle-hardened veteran, and Dr. Maria, a scientist whose knowledge of alien technology had proven useful in creating countermeasures against the invaders. They had little to go on. The aliens' technology was far more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen, but they quickly realized that despite their superior weapons, the aliens weren't as invincible as they appeared. There were flaws in their systems, subtle weaknesses hidden beneath their overwhelming power. The humans had begun to exploit these weaknesses, figuring out ways to disrupt their alien equipment. "We have to act now," Sergeant Lucas said, his voice grim but determined. "We got one shot at this." Dr. Maria, analyzing the alien ships through a set of powerful surveillance tools, nodded. "Their technology is highly advanced, but they've underestimated our ability to adapt. We've been studying their movements, and I believe we can make them think we're weaker than we are. We can use that to our advantage." The plan was simple, but dangerous. The humans would use the cover of darkness to infiltrate one of the alien ships that had landed nearby, hoping to gather crucial intel on how the aliens operated their weapons. They knew they would be heavily outmatched in a direct confrontation, but if they could sabotage the ships from the inside, it might give humanity the upper hand. The night was quiet, almost eerily so, as the small group of resistance fighters made their way through the destroyed streets. Their footsteps were muffled by the dust and debris, and the only sounds were the occasional distant rumbles of alien ships landing and the faint hum of their advanced technology. They knew the aliens were close, but they had no idea how close. As they approached the alien craft, a massive metallic ship that seemed to pulsate with an unnatural energy, the group stopped to assess the situation. The ship's outer surface shimmered, almost as if it were alive, glowing with a faint bluish light. A few alien sentries stood guard, their intimidating figures outlined by the ship's eerie glow. The humans were hiding in the shadows, their hearts racing as they realized the magnitude of what they were about to do. "Stay quiet, stay focused," Sergeant Lucas whispered, his voice low and steady. "We get in, we get out. We don't engage unless we have to." They moved quickly, slipping past the alien guards and entering the ship through a hatch that had been left unguarded. Inside, the air was cold and sterile, filled with the hum of alien machinery. The ship's interior was even more intimidating than the exterior. Shiny surfaces, strange symbols etched into the walls, and advanced technology that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. The humans felt both awe and fear as they navigated deeper into the craft. Dr. Maria, holding a small makeshift device, began working on the alien controls. "This is it," she murmured. If we can shut down their power source, we might be able to knock them out temporarily. It won't last long, but it'll give us the opening we need." Just as she was about to complete the task, a loud noise echoed through the ship. The door to the control room slammed shut. The resistance fighters froze in place. Alien footsteps echoed down the hall. It was too late to turn back now. They had to make a choice: fight or escape. Suddenly, the door burst open, and a group of alien soldiers stormed into the room, their weapons raised and aimed directly at the humans. The fight was inevitable. The resistance fighters pulled out their weapons, prepared to defend themselves at all costs. Sergeant Lucas, despite his experience, felt his heart race as the aliens' eyes locked onto him. He had faced many battles in his life, but this felt different. They weren't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their world, for everything they loved. "We don't have much time," Dr. Maria shouted. "I'm almost there." The alien soldiers charged, but the humans fought with a desperate fury. Bullets bounced off the aliens' advanced armor, but the humans were resourceful, using the environment to their advantage. They fought fiercely, drawing on their knowledge of the ship's layout to create distractions and obstacles. It was a fight against all odds, but they weren't about to back down. In the chaos of the battle, Dr. Maria finally pressed a button on her device. Sparks flew from the alien console as the ship's power systems began to flicker. The aliens hesitated for a brief moment, uncertainty creeping into their minds. They had never encountered resistance like this before. But it was too late. The humans had made their move, and the power was cut. The alien ship went dark, and the invaders were temporarily thrown into disarray. The humans, out of breath but filled with determination, knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. As they retreated into the shadows, a new thought dawned on them. The aliens had been underestimating humanity all along. This first encounter proved that they could fight back and win. The war for Earth had only just begun. The moment the lights went out on the alien ship, everything changed. The humans had made their first real strike against the invaders, and though they had only succeeded in disabling one ship for a short time, the impact was monumental. For the first time, the aliens began to question their superiority. They had believed the humans were weak, disorganized, and unable to mount any meaningful resistance. But this small group of survivors had just shown them how wrong they were. As the alien forces tried to regain control over their craft, the humans disappeared into the shadows of the war-torn city, retreating back to their underground base. Their hearts pounded with adrenaline, but their minds were already shifting to what came next. This was just the beginning. They had proven to the aliens that Earth wasn't as easy to conquer as they had thought. They could fight back, and they had the will to win. Back at the underground bunker, Sergeant Lucas and Dr. Maria gathered with the rest of their group. They were bruised and exhausted from the battle, but their spirits were high. They had done something the aliens hadn't expected, something no one thought possible. They had struck a blow against an enemy they had been told was unbeatable. "We need to capitalize on this," Sergeant Lucas said, his voice steady despite the fatigue. "We've given them a taste of what we're capable of. We need to hit them again. And this time, we need to make it count." Dr. Maria nodded, her mind already working through the next phase of their plan. She had managed to collect valuable data from the alien ship systems, data that could provide critical information about their technology and weaknesses. The aliens' arrogance had been their downfall. They had never expected humanity to fight back, let alone sabotage their ships. But now that the humans had seen just how vulnerable the aliens were, the fight was far from over. "According to the data we gathered," Dr. Maria explained, "the aliens rely heavily on a central power core to keep their ships running. If we can figure out how to target that core, we might be able to disable their fleet once and for all. But we'll need to act fast. The aliens will adapt quickly, and we won't get many more chances." The group's plan was clear, but risky. They would need to infiltrate another alien ship, this time targeting the power core directly. It would be even more dangerous than the first mission, but the humans had learned from their previous encounter. They had learned how to be resourceful and how to use the alien technology against them. As the humans prepared for their next mission, the alien forces were far from idle. They had quickly realized that their initial confidence was misplaced. The destruction of the ship had thrown them into a state of confusion, and their military leaders were scrambling to regain control. Zoreth, the alien commander, was furious. He had never experienced such resistance before. The humans, in his mind, were nothing more than primitive creatures with no place in the galaxy. Yet they had managed to damage his fleet. Zoreth called for an emergency meeting with his top commanders. "We underestimated them," he growled, his voice seething with anger. "They are not as weak as we thought, but we will not allow them to challenge the might of the Siluri Empire. Prepare for full retaliation. We will crush them before they get any more ideas." While the alien forces scrambled to regroup, the humans quietly made their move. With their new knowledge of the alien technology, they began to gather a small fleet of makeshift vehicles. These vehicles, cobbled together from scraps of human and alien technology, were far from perfect, but they were functional. They had learned how to bypass alien security systems, how to infiltrate the ships without being detected. The night before their next mission, Sergeant Lucas and Dr. Maria sat alone in the bunker, discussing the next phase of their plan. The weight of what they were about to do hung heavily between them. If they failed, humanity's chances of survival would be nearly impossible. "We've come this far," Lucas said, breaking the silence. "We're fighting for our future, for our families. We can't let fear hold us back now." Dr. Maria looked at him, her eyes filled with determination. "You're right. We've already shown them we're not as easy to defeat as they thought. Tomorrow, we'll show them what humanity is really capable of." As the two of them shared a brief but meaningful glance, they knew that tomorrow would be the true test. The first encounter had been a victory, but it was only a small step. The real battle was yet to come, and they were ready. The next morning, as dawn broke, the resistance fighters made their move. The aliens had not yet realized the full extent of humanity's resolve. They would soon find out. The humans launched their second assault, infiltrating the alien ship's core systems with a stealth and precision that the aliens could not anticipate. As they moved deeper into the heart of the alien vessel, a sudden realization hit the invaders. They had severely miscalculated. Their technology, their arrogance, and their underestimation of humanity had led them to this point. For the first time, the aliens realized they were no longer in control. The humans had seized the initiative, and there was no turning back. As the battle raged on, it became clear to both sides that the tide was turning. Humanity was no longer just surviving. They were fighting back with everything they had. And the aliens, for the first time, were on the defensive. This was the turning point. The war was no longer about simply surviving. It was about winning. The final battle was upon them, and humanity's fate hung in the balance. The air was thick with tension, a mixture of hope and fear. The small but determined resistance group had proven time and time again that they could hold their own against the mighty alien invaders. But this was it, their last chance to turn the tide of the war. The aliens, who had once arrogantly believed that Earth would fall easily, now found themselves scrambling to keep control. And in this chaos, the humans saw their opportunity. Sergeant Lucas stood with Dr. Maria and the rest of the group in the underground bunker, his eyes scanning the makeshift maps they had drawn of the alien ships. Every plan they had made up to this point had been built on the information they had gathered from their earlier encounters. They knew the aliens' weaknesses, their patterns, and now, the humans had one final critical advantage. The aliens underestimated the true depth of humanity's resilience. "We'd fought this far," Lucas said, his voice steady despite the growing pressure. "Now, we make sure they never forget who they're dealing with. We go in, take out their command center, and we end this once and for all." Dr. Maria, her face set in determined lines, added, "The alien leader, Zorath, is still on their flagship. If we take down their command center, we take away their ability to lead and communicate with the other ships. It'll throw them into complete chaos." The plan was simple. Infiltrate the alien flagship, strike at the heart of their command center, and disrupt their leadership. The humans knew they were walking into the lion's den, but they also knew that if they didn't act now, humanity would be doomed. As the humans approached the alien flagship, the city around them was eerily quiet. The once bustling streets were now empty, scared by the alien invasion. The towering ships loomed overhead like silent giants, their alien insignia glowing faintly in the dark sky. This was no longer just a fight for survival. It was a fight for Earth's future. In the shadow of the flagship, the resistance fighters prepared for the assault. They had learned from their earlier encounters. They had adapted and devised clever tactics to evade alien detection. This was not going to be a simple fight. This was a war of intelligence, a war of willpower, and most importantly, a war of unity. The moment they breached the outer defenses of the flagship, the tension reached its peak. Alien drones and guards scrambled to intercept them, but the humans fought back fiercely, using their knowledge of the alien technology to their advantage. Lucas, Maria, and the others worked in seamless coordination, distracting, disabling, and neutralizing alien forces as they moved deeper into the ship. As they approached the command center, a familiar figure appeared before them. Zorath, the alien leader. His piercing eyes glowed with the cold light of his species, but there was something different in his gaze now. The confidence, once so unshakable, had been replaced by uncertainty. His forces were crumbling. His ship was on the verge of failure, and for the first time, Zorath felt fear. He had underestimated these humans, and now they were in his command center, threatening everything he had worked for. "You," Zorath said, his voice filled with fury and disbelief. "How are you still standing? How are you still fighting?" Sergeant Lucas stepped forward, his voice steady but laced with the fire of resolve. "Because we're not like you. We don't give up. We fight, no matter the odds. And we're going to win this war." With a sharp motion, the humans engaged in their final attack. They fought fiercely, knowing that their lives, and the future of the planet, depended on what happened in the next few minutes. The battle was brutal. Zorath's soldiers fought with everything they had left, but the humans had an unshakable determination. They weren't just fighting for themselves. They were fighting for their families, their cities, and their way of life. This was a battle for Earth, and they would not let the aliens take it. As Zorath raised his weapon, ready to strike, Dr. Maria activated the device she had been working on. It was a risk, but it was their only shot. The device sent a pulse through the flagship, shutting down the ship's power systems and sending it into disarray. The alien forces staggered, their systems failing one by one, and Zorath himself was thrown off balance. In that moment, Sergeant Lucas charged, taking the alien leader by surprise. With a final, decisive move, Lucas struck, defeating Zorath and his leadership. With the death of their commander, the alien forces lost all cohesion. Without Zorath to guide them, the remaining invaders were thrown into complete confusion. Their ships, without leadership, began to break down, their technology faltering. Humanity had done it. They had driven the aliens out. The victory was bittersweet. The destruction was immense, and the cost had been high. But in the end, Earth had prevailed. The aliens, once so confident in their ability to dominate, were now fleeing in defeat. The humans stood victorious, not because they had superior technology, but because they had something the aliens had overlooked: their unwavering determination to protect their world. As the last of the alien ships fled Earth's atmosphere, the survivors stood together, gazing at the sky. The battle was over, but the war for humanity's future had just begun. They had shown the universe that no matter how powerful the enemy, no one could ever underestimate the strength and resilience of humanity. The final showdown had come and gone, But humanity's victory was far more than just a military success. It was a testament to the unbreakable spirit of humankind. And as the survivors looked toward a new dawn, they knew that no matter what came next, they would always stand together, ready to face whatever challenges the future held. Earth had not only survived, it had triumphed.